by AT&T Uverse TV.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
You can sense how relaxed your Rangers were in yesterday's homestand opener. They looked like the team Ranger fans know and love. Loose, comfortable, and having fun. They were also proficient, both offensively and on the mound, as they took care of Cleveland. Tonight, the fun-loving Derek Holland starts Game 2 against the Tribe next on Fox Sports Southwest. It is a stunningly beautiful late spring evening here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. The Rangers getting set to take on the Cleveland Indians in Game 2 of this three-game series. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Glad you can join us tonight in what should be a great ball game in front of a near-capacity crowd on hand here this evening. And Derek Holland going for the Rangers. He has been very, very good for the last 6 weeks.
No doubt about it, Buzz. And, after last season wasn't a bad year for Derek, but he knew after last season to reach the potential and be the pitcher he wanted to be, he had to be better. Yeah. And he has been, starting in spring training. He's thrown more changeups, which has been a very good pitch for him. His velocity is up a little bit. In his last 7 starts, he's undefeated. In 6 starts against Cleveland, he's 3-0 with a 2.31 ERA. So he's on a good roll in his last 7 starts. He's pitched very well against Cleveland. Hopefully all that will add up to an excellent start tonight.
Yeah, you saw the walk figures, very low walks, very few home runs. So Derek has figured a lot of things out, and the Rangers couldn't be happy to have him on the mound tonight. He'll be teaming with a very hot man. That's A.J. Pierzynski. That's the starting battery for the Rangers. We'll have the lineups to the first pitch for you right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Ford. The Texas Ford dealer celebrates red, white, and you. Enjoy great savings on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T U-Burst TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. A great evening. Clear skies overhead. Temperatures in the low 90s. And Yu Darvish bobblehead night out here at Rangers Ballpark. And before we get underway, let's head down to the field. Emily Jones is standing by. Emily?
Well, Buzz, I shudder to think where this team would be without Mr. Bobblehead himself, Yu Darvish, and, of course, the pitching performance of Derek Collins so far this season. Both have carried this staff throughout the ups and downs of all the injuries. Derek is 4-0 in his last 7 starts with a 2.4 ERA. He is locked in, and his manager has taken notice.
Derek has pitched well, and he deserves a lot of credit. Hawk deserves a lot of credit. Mike deserves a lot of credit, for what they did over the winter to get him prepared and him coming in and following through with it. It's a different Derek. He's more mature, and we're just trying to keep him in that state of mind.
Ron Washington with tonight's Geico quote of the game, and Derek Harland even starting to get a little bit of all-star buzz as we get into that time of year. And Wash joked and said, I don't need y'all filling his head with all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't hurt to see the youngster getting rewarded. And really, he's not even that young anymore. He's been around for quite some time. He's showing his maturity this season, and it's paying off as far as the numbers are concerned, guys.
Yeah, Emily, thank you. I think the entire coaching staff, and the skipper included, did a very good job with the young players and young pitchers like Derek Collins. And they are starting to play off the for the ball club. The Indians starting lineup will face Holland tonight. Drew Stubbs leads off. He plays in center. Jason Gibbons is the second baseman. Nick Switcher gets to start at first. Ryan Rayburn bats cleanup and plays right field. The DH is Carlos Santana. Mark Reynolds at third. Michael Brantley bats seventh and plays left. Jan Gomes is behind the plate. And batting ninth, the shortstop, Mike Aviles.
Well, check our Budweiser scouting report for Derek Holland. Off to an excellent start. His 2.82 ERA is the 8th best in the league. 1 or no walks in 7 of his 12 starts. He's 3-0 in 6 career starts against Cleveland with a really nice ERA of 2.31. So you look at the fact that the walk totals are down significantly. The other thing, the home runs are down significantly. Last year, he gave up 32 home runs, about a home run per start. This year, he's given up less than half a home run per start. In fact, that ratio is the 4th best in the American League. So dramatic improvement, better control, and fewer home runs. That adds up to a nice season so far.
So Holland ready to work. Into the wind he goes. The first pitch of the night is a fastball that sails high to Drew Stubbs. Stubbs, a tall drink of water. A man that came over from the Cincinnati Reds, playing the right-handed role of the center field for Terry Francona's club. Takes a strike, and that evens the count. A 91-degree evening here, down to about 5 degrees from last night. Very, very comfortable. Wind drifting in from right field, and there's a chopper foul. The count moves to a ball and 2 strikes. The defense brought to you by Echo. David Murphy in left, Craig Gentry in center, Nelly Cruz is in right. Chris McGinnis started first, Uri Garcia at second. Elvis Andrus the shortstop, Adrian Beltre at third, and A.J. Brzezinski is catching Derek Holland, who gets his first strikeout. Good back foot breaking ball from the left-hander, and Stubbs is gone.
If you get behind Derek with 2 strikes, you've got a good chance to see this pitch, especially as a right-hand hitter. It's become a really good strikeout pitch for him. Starts out in the strike zone, ends up a lot of times out of the strike zone. That one actually ended up being a strike, a quality strike. And he gets Stubbs to start the game.
Umpiring crew tonight, Mark Wegner calling the balls and strikes. Laz D is the first, Tim Timmons at second, and the crew chief, Mike Winters, is over at third. So one away, here's Jason Kipnis. And the left-handed hitting second baseman takes strike 1 from Derek Holland. Kipnis, as you can see, has had pretty good luck against a left-hander in Holland. 308, the career average. He has turned into a very solid infielder for the Cleveland Indians. Chops that foul, and again, Holland getting ahead of the count. It's 1-2.
And he's probably got a pretty good chance to see that same slider. Down in the count 1-2.
Got him swinging. Away, and Holland gets his second straight strikeout. Well, folks, in tonight's game, we are participating in the Home Run Challenge. Every home run hit tonight raises $10,000 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. We're going on all tonight, and love for you to take part in that. Great Cancer Research Society, the prostate cancer research, and very, very important for all of us to get involved in that. Here's Nick Swisher, switch inning first baseman, and he takes a strike at the knees. Swisher at .240, 7 home runs, 22 driven in. So 5 out of 18 against Holland. That pitch fouled back. Third consecutive hitter now that Holland has gotten to 2 strikes very quickly.
Throwing a lot of strikes, 8 out of 10 strikes.
Well, you like to see that from Derek. When he's aggressive in the strike zone, his stuff is good enough to handle anybody. Crowd starting a rhythmic chant. And Holland's 0-2 pitch. Called strike 3. Wrapped him up like a bundle of Sunday morning newspapers. Holland strikes out the side on 11 pitches. Indians nothing. Rangers coming up in the bottom of the first on Fox Sports Southwest. In the bottom half of inning number 1. And First Financial Bank delivers the Ranger lineup tonight. Elvis Andrews is the shortstop. David Murphy bats second. The DH is Lance Berkman. Adrian Beltre is the cleanup man. A.J. Brzezinski bats 5th and catches. Nelson Cruz is in right field. Chris McGinnis bats 7th and plays first. Hitting 8th, the center fielder Craig Gentry, and Leuri Garcia, the second baseman, bats 9th. Elvis Andrus making his way to the right-handed hitter batter's box, and he is ready to lead things off.
And Corey Kluber will be on the mound for Cleveland. 3-4. ZRA is .456. He's had 10 games, 8 of them starts. Started off better. April was a much better month. 1 or no walks in 8 of 10 games. And the other thing you might note about him, 54 strikeouts in only 49 innings and only 9 walks. 54 strikeouts and 9 walks. Pretty good ratio. One of the best in the league.
And a lot of fastballs from Corey Kluber. Went to Coppell High School. On into Stetson University. There's a drive to right center. That's going to settle in for a base hit. So Elvis, who had a couple of hits last night, had been struggling at the plate. He follows up last night's 2 for 5 with a leadoff single in the Ranger first inning.
Looked like he got a fastball that was kind of tailing in on him a little bit, but he used that inside-out swing to get most of the good part of the bat on that ball. Good start for the Rangers. Get some speed on the bases. In Kluber's last start, he gave up 6 runs, 4 of them earned to the Yankees. And all 6 runs came in the first couple of innings. He pitched very well after that, but he struggled early in that game.
First pitch to Murph is a fastball strike, inner part of the plate. David at 215, 8 home runs, and 26 RBI. That hit, by the way, for Elvis Andrus extends his career long hitting streak against the Cleveland Indians to 34 ball games. Kluber back to the plate. Murphy, a line drive picked off the turf by Reynolds, and Elvis halfway to second is double off. A 5-3 double play. Murphy lining into that, and boy, that's shades of last night again.
Yeah, David's having some bad luck. Last night he hit that hard ground ball right at the first baseman, turned it into an unusual double play. One time he hit a pretty hard line drive to the left side of the infield. Seems like there's more air than fielders over there, but that one went right to the third baseman. Elvis, thinking the ball was on the ground or going to get by the third baseman, ended up being doubled up.
And here's Berkman again, as we saw him do on the road trip. With the extreme shift on, the overshift on, nobody anywhere to the west side of the shortstop. He's able to get that bunt base hit.
Look at Swisher. Swisher loves it. Why not? You know, if you can, you know, the problem is most guys that they put the shift on can't bunt anyway.
Right.
But if you can bunt, why not? Base hit. They're giving it to you. Just take it.
Well, I'm sure I know one person that would have had an answer if you'd asked him why not with the shift. That's Ted Williams.
Yeah.
He would have had an answer for you.
2 outs. I want an extra base hit. I don't want.
There you go.
I don't want to get a single.
There you go.
Yeah, and that, you know, that's kind of a baseball argument.
Here's Adrian Beltre to face Kluber.
If you're a power hitter, don't settle for a single with 2 outs and nobody on. Try to get an extra base hit. But let's face it, in the course of a season, Lance is probably going to have 28 to 50, you know, maybe 45 or 50 extra base hits, so they don't come that often.
Sharp breaking ball to the outside corner. It's 1-1 to Adrian. You saw hitting at 304. 14 home runs, 38 RBI. Adrian last night had his 14-game hitting streak snapped. Took it 0 for 3. But still on a whale of a roll offensively. That pitch is on the inside corner. Kluber. We were talking about, there are a lot of fastballs in Kluber. He'll throw 75, 80% fastballs. He'll throw a cut fastball occasionally, a two-seam fastball, and a hard slider. And that's just about it. He has minimized his repertoire. Up the middle, flagged down by Kluber. He underhands the first, and that'll do it. Rangers gone in the first, although they get a couple of hits. They strand one. We played one at Arlington. Rangers nothing, Indians nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Third of the Indian order to face Derek Holland, who was extremely efficient in the first inning. Struck out all 3 men that he faced on 11 pitches. It doesn't get much better than that. Ryan Rayburn starting things off, and the changeup floats outside to the right-handed hitting right fielder. Rayburn having a good year with the Indians, 290. 7 home runs, 20 driven in. Pops this one up, shallow right field. Leori Garcia goes out and has to come back in as the wind pushing it back toward the infield. First ball put in play, and it is out number 1. Before Carlos Santana steps in, let's say hello to Jim Knox.
All right, Buzz, appreciate it. Great crowd at the ballpark tonight. We're in the Rangers on, hopefully another win. And Community Corner tonight, we're talking about the Texas Rangers, an organization today met up with Cole Luxury Home Builders to break ground on a very nice Grand Slam home that would be built in Colleyville. The proceeds go to the Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation. To find out more details, call the information on your screen. Great opportunity right here, a home being built, and the proceeds go in the Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation. Buzz?
All right, Knoxy, thank you. Joe Nathan taking part in that. And turned him into a catcher for just a few minutes. Good to see. Here's Carlos Santana, the switch-hitting designated hitter. And he takes a very slow breaking ball that is in for strike 1. Santana, one of the few Indians that really has had good success against Holland. You saw the 375 career average for Carlos Santana against Derek Holland. Holland to the wind, the 1-1 pitch. Hard hit, that's into left center field. Over to cut it off is Murphy. Santana, big turn to first, he's going for 2. The throw to second, he is out from here to Grand Prairie.
He must not watch the tapes of the Ranger outfielders, that's for sure.
David Murphy came up and threw a strike to second base.
They had no chance. The thing about the Ranger outfielders is they have arm strength, but they have arm accuracy too. That's a pretty long throw. He hit that ball so hard, David couldn't charge it. Plus, he had to go towards center field. But look at the throw. It's like a pitch from 60 feet, right down the middle of the plate. What an asset, the way the Ranger outfielders throw. How many times this year have we seen that already?
Yeah, and that's not just an accident. I mean, that play specifically right there where they cut a runner down in second. Gary Pettis has all the outfielders out at least once a week, individually or tandems, working on that particular play. And balls to their left, to their right, and come up and throw to second base. And, well, it really has paid dividends. So 2 outs, and the hitter is Mark Reynolds, who takes ball 2. Reynolds hitting at .235. Just 1 for 7 in his career against Derek Holland, but he has 13 home runs this year. And ball 3 is inside.
You know, the other side of that play at second base is if you're the runner, that's a good gamble right there. He's deep in left center field. It's going to take a perfect throw to get you. He made a perfect throw, but that's a good gamble by a runner. Trying to take the extra base on that ball.
Even with 1 out?
I think it's a good gamble. Yeah, try to get into scoring position.
Okay. You can see Reynolds struggling of late. He is 0 for 12 that he's at now. Up the middle, Garcia has it go over his glove. He went to the backhand, and the ball took a kangaroo hop over the glove, and Reynolds aboard with 2 outs. That ball scorched out toward Larry Garcia.
Back-to-back hard hit balls.
Going to be a base hit, and rightfully so for Reynolds. A 1 on 2 out. Michael Brantley, the left-handed hitting left fielder, comes up.
What you can do on that, you put your glove up and hope it goes in it.
Brantley at .285 for the year. Just about the same whether it be a left-handed pitcher or a right-handed pitcher. Brantley just an all-around very good hitter. Hit cleanup last night. Tonight hitting down in the number 7 slot. Brantley against left-handers at .280, right-handers .288. Fastball is high. And all of a sudden, Derek Holland now, after 2 hard hit balls, falling behind the last 2 hitters. See, Brantley has had a modest amount of success, only 8 at bats, but 3 hits against Holland. 2-0 pitch. Now 2-1 on the chop foul ball. Brantley having a tough road trip. Well, the Cleveland Indians having a tough road trip. Indians have lost 8 in a row overall, and they've lost 12 in a row away from Cleveland. And Brantley on this trip just 3 for 20. Holland peering in for the sign. Left-handers ready, a check of first. 3-hopper out to Garcia, stays with it nicely, and that will do it. So a couple of hits in the inning. What a great play by David Murphy, cuts down one of them. The Indians strand one. After 1.5, Rangers nothing, Indians nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Our AT&T Twitter poll tonight has to do with Nolan Ryan, and today the anniversary of his 6th no-hitter out in Oakland. Which was the most memorable time with the Rangers that impressed you about Nolan Ryan's career? 5,000 strikeout? If you believe it was that one, go to Twitter and go hashtag FS5000K. 6th no-hitter, FS, 6th no-no. 300th win, which is up in Milwaukee. 300 win on hashtag FS, or 7th no-hitter, hashtag FS 7th no-no. We'll tabulate all the results and give it to you after the 7th or 8th inning, so we're somewhere down there. And Nolan's going to join us top of next inning, as a matter of fact. See what he remembers about that night. I remember because I didn't sit down for the entire 9th inning. Kind of like the Yu Darvish game.
They were all exciting. I'm not going to say which one I picked till it's all over again, but one stands out for me a little bit more than the others.
Fastball to AJ, and he takes that. It's now 3 balls and no strikes. Well, you can say. I mean, it's not.
You don't think it'll influence anybody else?
I don't think so.
For me, the one that stands out is 5,000 strikeout.
There's a 4-pitch walk to Brzezinski.
It's tough to pick one no-hitter over another.
Yeah.
He had 7 of them. Not that they're routine. And I know Nolan would say this. We could ask him about it. Maybe one's more memorable to him. But I know the frustrating one for him was the 300th win, because he had family and friends coming to every game, traveling with the team, and you know, you can pitch great and not get a win. It depends. A lot of things have to fall right to get that win. Finally got it in Milwaukee one night.
Yep.
And even the 5,000 strikeout.
The double play ball potentially to third. The second for one on to first. Second double play of the night after a leadoff runner for the Rangers. And that's going to make it tough on the run column as Nelly Cruz grounds into the twin killing.
You know, you look at the 5,000th strikeout. You may remember, Buzz, was it 6 he needed that night? It was 5, 6, or 7, something like that.
I wasn't doing the game, so I've forgotten how many he needed.
It was enough to where, even though it was Nolan, it's not a guarantee he was going to get that many strikeouts that night, but everyone came to the game anticipating that would be the night. And so I'm sure he felt the pressure to go out and make sure it happened that night. As fate would have it, it was Ricky Henderson that was the 5,000th strikeout. Pretty exciting.
Here's Chris McGinnis. 0-1 pitch to him. It's off the outside corner. A ball and a strike. Chris 2 for 8 in his first foray at the major league level. Pops it foul. That will reach the seats over the third base dugout of the Cleveland Indians. Yeah, you know, I didn't think you were trivializing the no-hitters, but Nolan almost made him trivial.
Well,
you know, he'd go out and I tell people this all the time. It didn't surprise me that he threw 7. I was surprised every time he went out there with his best stuff that he didn't throw a no-hitter.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how hard it is to throw one when all it takes is an infield single or a little blooper to have 7, and who knows how many one-hitters he had.
That would be 13, I
believe. 13 one-hitters. Could have been a lot more than 7.
Chris McGinnis retired. The Rangers are gone in the second inning. We'll go on to the third, and we'll hear from Nolan Ryan. Scoreless ball game on Fox Sports Southwest. Uverse reverse replay. Oakland, California. I'll let you watch. And joining us now, the Rangers CEO and author of not only 6 but 7 no-hitters, Nolan Ryan. Nolan, thanks for joining us. I appreciated you doing that fairly quickly in Oakland, too, because I wasn't able to sit down that 9th inning. I finally got a chance to sit down after the last out.
Well, I was glad it got over quick, too.
No,
after Ricky Henderson hit that topper to Jeff Houston.
Yeah.
We asked the fans to pick their most memorable event of yours, your 6th or 7th no-hitter, your 5,000th strikeout, or your 300th win. Do any of those stand out for you as more exciting than the other?
Well, you know, it's hard to say because they all mean different things to me, but on the 6th, I really thought that part of my career was behind me, and then when the 7th rolled around here at home, I was just so thankful that it happened here at home, and the way the fans responded to that game has always made it very special to me.
I've heard you talk about the 300th win and kind of the pressure of having a lot of people at a lot of games until you won that 300th game. Was that one that was kind of nerve-wracking?
Well, it was a relief to have that over because the first shot at it I had here and against the Yankees and didn't get it done, and then all the people that had come up for it were saying, well, we're going to go to Milwaukee, and I'm thinking, oh, Lord, I hope that I get it done there because I didn't want to have a traveling show with me.
Yeah, that kind of eats into your meal money. You got to support all those folks.
Yeah, you really weren't known for your entourage like a few of our other players
no,
were at that time.
I didn't even know what an entourage was till I got here.
Well, you saw some pretty good ones.
That first spring, I was over introducing myself to guys that they were in our clubhouse. I assumed they were ball players, and they weren't. They were entourages.
Mike Avila's the hitter with one out. He hammers one foul down the left side.
One thing about it, we got a quick game going here tonight.
Uh-oh.
You aren't superstitious.
No, we're not. No. But the people behind the scenes are.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to break out and score a bunch of runs tonight too.
And Aviles is gone on strikes. That is punch out number 4 for Derek Holland. Here's the 5,000 strikeout now of none other than Ricky Henderson, wasn't it? Yeah, sure was.
How many did you need that night, Nolan, to get to 5,000?
You know, I was thinking I need 11, and but don't hold me to this. I don't have the best memory in the world. But I tell you this, the anticipation that it was going to happen that night, I worried about that because I didn't want the fans coming out and being disappointed and not seeing it, and it just worked out that way. And the thing I remember about that was getting to the ballpark and electricity in the air. It was like a playoff atmosphere.
Sure.
And it was really fun to be part of that.
1 ball, 1 strike.
We heard Ron Washington commenting on Derek Holland about his maturity. Have you noticed a difference in Derek this year?
Yeah, I really have. I think we saw it starting to develop in the offseason. He was disappointed with the year he had last year, and he came up to my office 2 or 3 times in the winter and talked about what he wanted to do and getting people's thoughts, and I could tell then that he was really committed to trying to have a different year this year, and he got in the best shape I've ever seen him in, and went to spring training and took it into spring training and came out of spring training and has continued to have that mindset. And even when he doesn't have a good inning or has a game that's not the kind of game he wanted, he really stays focused and works hard. So I'm really proud of the job he's done.
Yeah, it seems like, Nolan, that he has found the key to putting clamps on what used to be a big inning for him and keeping it down to maybe a run or 2 at the most.
I agree with that because, as we well know, he used to he'd be coasting along 4 or 5 innings of shutout ball and then let an inning get away from him and it would decide the ball game. He couldn't keep the ball in the ballpark, and he has changed that. He seems to be able to, if he walks somebody or falls out of his rhythm, that he's able to recapture that, and that's a sign of a pitcher making that transition where he's going to be more consistent.
And he's got a little tester right here after the error, the 2-out error by Andrus.
Yeah, this is a good example where he has to not let that hurt us.
2-0 the count to Kipnis. And ball 3 is inside.
See, that was something we did the last several years, was that he have a tendency, and I don't know if it was to let up on left-handers or lose his focus and get behind on them, and sometimes end up giving a hit to a left-hander when he shouldn't be doing that, but it's because he's high in the count and he has to give him a pitch to hit or try to throw a strike.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. You look at his numbers, and they would say, well, left-handers hit him a lot better than right-handers, but you explained it pretty well what was happening right there, getting behind those guys. There's a strike to Kipnis. It's 3-1. You got to be pretty proud, though, of the way the ball club, no one has fought through injuries and really not used any excuses. They've just gone out and played.
Well, they really have, and you know, a mark of a good club and a good organization is when you have to go down to your minor leagues and bring people up, and they come up and they fill in and do the job that you're hoping they'll do, and that's what's happened with us. And you know, we've had so many changes this year, and we're just in the middle of June, so I think it speaks highly of what the organization's been able to accomplish, and hopefully we'll get everybody healthy and finish out the season in a much better stead as far as the health of our ball club.
Well, Larry Garcia almost went out and got that, just off the tip of his glove, and that's going to be a base hit. So the error, and now a looping single puts runners at the corners and 2 outs.
Yeah, off the bat, I was wondering whether Nelly would be able to get to it, and then out of nowhere came Leuri, and he got far enough. It just hit off the side of his thumb.
Yeah, that ball jammed him such that that ball didn't have enough carry to get to Nelly, and he almost did catch it. But Derek's got his work cut out here with Swisher now.
Well, Swisher got caught looking at a third strike back in the first inning. You know, in a key spot here, and this is what they brought Nick Swisher in for to Cleveland, was to be the guy that would produce the big runs. And so far it hasn't worked out great, but Swisher just kind of getting his feet on the ground in Cleveland. 1 ball, no strikes. Holland peering in for the sign, and it's put down by Przinski. 1-0 pitch. Inside corner.
That's a good pitch here. I think he must have been looking away the way he reacted to that ball. I thought that ball was hitting.
Yeah. Well, he struck him out the first time up on a fastball on the inside part of the plate like that. That ball almost did hit him.
Yeah. That was a weird reaction to that pitch.
Well, he's a pretty good actor, too, at times.
Yeah, he is. That's the old Yankee in him.
Yeah, there you go. This one's popped up, foul territory, and the wind will push that just out of the reach of Chris McGinnis back in the second row.
AJ over here talking to me. I wanted to tell him put the right fingers down. Let's get out of that inning.
Did you ever have any luck talking to catchers and getting to do what you wanted?
You know, if things worked out, they always took credit.
Yeah.
And if it didn't, I shook them off.
Holland with a 1-2 pitch. To left field, Murphy.
Come on.
To his left,
All
makes
right.
the grab. That'll do it.
That's good.
And Nolan, thanks very much
All
for
right,
joining us. We
guys.
appreciate you. We've got some more clips for you from your 7th no-hitter.
All right.
Go to the bottom of the 3rd as you enjoy Nolan Ryan finishing off number 7. Sports Southwest is brought to you by Ford. The Texas Ford dealer celebrates red, white, and you. Enjoy great savings on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Jack in the Box, where the Chipotle Chicken Club Combo is back. Steve Tennyson, one of our very able cameramen out here, taking the evening off. So he's enjoying a busman's holiday. Nice to see Steve out here. Usually part of our crack camera crew. Not crack pot, just crack. Very, very good. Greg Gentry takes the breaking ball and it catches the inside corner. It is no balls and 2 strikes. Gentry hitting in the A spot, leading off the Ranger third inning. Greg at 231, last 3 ball games. And Greg has started to go on the upturn again. Foul straight back and out of play.
Oh, with the help of a couple of double plays, Kluber only threw 20 pitches in the first 2 innings. That won't be an issue.
Greg with a home run, 9 RBI this year. Kluber back to him. There's that hard breaking ball. Just off the outside corner. 1-2 to Gentry. Greg Young getting a start against a right-handed starter, and that's been unusual. Normally, Leonis Martin has been in there as the starting center fielder. Ron Washington going with the right-hander Gentry tonight. 2-2 now the count. Rangers have 2 hits in the first 2 innings. Both of them came in the first, as a matter of fact. Had a walk in the second. Aviles unloads quickly and gets Gentry by a couple of steps. That's out number 1. It'll bring up Leury Garcia. Time for a Mazda game break. Here's John Radigan. John?
Batting ninth, the second baseman, number 3, Leury Garcia.
All right, John, thank you. No bases empty. 1 away. Here is the switch hitting infielder, Leury Garcia, getting the start tonight at second. And first ball swinging. He grounds up the middle where Aviles sticks. And very quickly, there are 2 outs here in the Ranger third. With the top of the order, Elvis Andrus coming up.
I have one birthday wish today. It's a belated birthday wish. Unfortunately, I don't have the name. It's from Ina Reynolds from Carbon, Texas. She wants to wish her sister, who was 91 years old, a happy birthday. So, Ina, I will wish your sister a belated happy birthday, but we don't have her first name. So, that's the best we can do. Happy birthday.
It's the thought that counts.
It's
right?
the thought that counts.
Elvis takes a knee-high strike. Andrus a single to center field to start off the Ranger first. Rangers have hit into 2 double plays, 1 a ground ball and 1 a line drive. And Kluber takes care of that 1 hopper. Oh, very quick inning on 3 ground outs. Rangers are gone in the third. We have finished 3 in Arlington. Rangers nothing, Indians nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. 2013 MLB All-Star Game is continuing. That's going to be in New York this year, and the Rangers need your help to put Elvis Andrus back in first. He has slipped down a bit. Go to TexasRangers.com. You can cast up to 25 ballots online and learn how you can cast an extra 10. Fans that vote up to 25 times will receive a 50% off ticket offer. Well, Elvis needs your help. And Adrian and everybody else. Off-speed pitch to Ryan Rayburn, misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rayburn, the cleanup hitter tonight for Terry Francona's club, popped out to second in the second. Holland back to the plate, and this one popped up. Foul territory, the wind pushing it away from Chris McGinnis. It's back 3 rows. That wind coming in from right field, pushing that one out of play. And the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes.
2 more birthdays to mention, Buzz. Zell Elliott from Garland, 80 years old today. Happy birthday, Zell. And Marie Kiefer from San Angelo is 90 years old today. Happy birthday to you, Marie. Hope you're both watching. Thanks for being such great Ranger fans. Hopefully Derek will pitch another win tonight.
That breaking ball down and into Rayburn makes it 2-2. That was Holland's 50th pitch of the night. 31 strikes, 19 balls for the Ranger left-hander. And another breaking ball down and in. The count goes full to Rayburn. Rayburn leading off the 4th inning, will be followed by the DH for the Tribe. That's Carlos Santana.
Yeah, that slider's gotten a lot of right-hand hitters to swing, but not Rayburn.
Pulled fair and down the third baseline, right over the bag. Rayburn will move into second base, a leadoff double. David Murphy had to go into the corner to grab that out of there. But Rayburn just smoked that right over the bag at third.
Yeah, it looked like he had a high changeup to hit. Took a pretty good swing at it. A little luck, it would have gone right at Adrian. Instead, it went right down the line. 9th double of the year for Rayburn.
Well, 4 hits now for the Indians.
Didn't locate that changeup exactly where he wanted to, it didn't look like.
You know, sometimes you get into a 3-2 count and you think that if you just throw an off-speed pitch in the strike zone anywhere, you're going to get away with it. Guys are going to swing at it, expecting a fastball.
I guess you can sometimes.
And that's not true.
Not all the time, is it?
No. There's a fastball to Santana on the inside corner. That's kind of like that get-ahead slider. First pitch to a guy, I'm going to throw it in the middle of the plate. He's not going to be swinging. Sometimes you don't get those back.
Yeah, he might not be swinging, but then again, he might.
Santana singled to left, and he was thrown out trying to stretch it into 2.
Yeah, it always kind of cracks me up when a hitter will hit a slider out of the ballpark, a hanging slider, and the pitcher will say, boy, he must have been looking for that pitch.
Yeah.
You know, you can look for a fastball and get a hanger and still hit it.
Yeah.
You know, the guys don't always look for the pitch they hit every time. Most hitters, I think, just look for the ball and hit it. And gear up to hit a fastball and make an adjustment on it on another pitch if it's slower.
Holland missing inside, 2-1 the count to Santana. Carlos, a .286 hitter as he faces Holland here in the 4th inning. Rayburn at second, nobody out. Holland a couple of looks back there. Now the 2-1 pitch. And that is yanked foul down the left side. Count evens to Santana at 2-2. Runners in scoring position. Santana has been as good as anybody on the Cleveland club. 341 average.
Well, Santana is becoming a force. He's always been pretty good as a young player. He went from 239 to 252 his second year. Now he's in the 280s.
Fly ball pretty well hit in left field. Murphy back into the corner at the warning track, makes the catch. Rayburn tags at second. He will move to third ahead of the throw. And Santana sending Murphy back to the 390-foot marker for that fly ball. There is one out, but Rayburn now just 90 feet away for Mark Reynolds. Well, folks, this Thursday, that's the 13th of June, and Tuesday, July 2nd, are the last 2 games to get $12 upper reserve tickets through Fox Sports Southwest Summer Ticket Days. Just go to TexasRangers.com, use the coupon code Fox Sports to save. One out, Reynolds, a single to center his first time to the plate. Rangers pulling their infield all the way in as Reynolds takes a strike.
Well, here's a guy that is prone to the strikeout. He's also prone to hitting a home run. Over the last 5 years, he's averaged close to 200 strikeouts a year. Pretty good spot to get a strikeout right now. To go for a strikeout, man on third and one out.
Breaking ball inside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
He's definitely one of those streaky guys. You hope you don't face him when he's hot, because he's one of those guys that can hit 10 home runs in a week.
Now, we mentioned last time up that base hit that Reynolds got broke an 0 for 12 streak. A little late on the fastball. It's 1-2. And that's a big reason why he strikes out a lot. He sees the ball in an area where he thinks he can handle it, and it's up. With his swing, I don't think he's going to hit many of those pitches.
Yeah, 1-2 is not a bad idea to try another one up there, is it?
Exactly. Collins set. Fouled away. Got that one out over the plate a little bit. Same idea. But Derek forced to work in this inning. Up to 61 pitches now. And this is what you would call a higher stress inning that he has had. Again, the 1-2. Line drive fair to right field by Chris McGinnis, who is over toward the hole. In to score is Rayburn, and the Indians take a 1-0 lead. Now, Reynolds got jammed, just squirted one the other way, right by McGinnis for the RBI single.
Well, not much you can do about that. He did make some contact, and he did find a hole, but it looked like Derek's trying to throw the fastball in. Got it on the inside part of the plate and jammed him. He just fought it off and found the hole.
No, a run on 5 hits now for Cleveland. Reynolds at first, still just 1 out, and Michael Brantley will come to the plate. Brantley, a ground ball to second, his first time up there. Holland letting the middle infielders know who he's going to go to if the ball's hit back to him. Brantley takes an off-speed pitch that's just wide of the mark. It's 1-0.
The 13th straight start for Derek where he hasn't given up a run in the first or second inning.
One-0 pitch. Double play ground ball to Garcia. Andrews backed him again. 4-6-3, and that'll do it. But the Indians get on the scoreboard. They get a run on 2 hits, nobody left. After 3.5, Cleveland 1, Texas 0 on Fox Sports Southwest. 10 o'clock, right here on Fox Sports Southwest for Chevy Hometown Kids. It's not about the score, it's about the experience. A good crowd on hand, looks to be in the low 40,000s. Rangers leading the American League in average attendance, just a shade over 39,300. And they have surpassed the million mark, second earliest date in franchise history. Well, the Rangers trailing by 1 as we head to the fourth. David Murphy to start things off. And the breaking ball stays outside from Corey Kluber. Murph lined into a 5-3 double play in the first inning. Fastball strike. 1-1. Murph now at 214 with the average. He has really been scuffling at the plate. Makes that pitch that comes back to the inside corner. Murphy didn't think so, and he's got a few words to say to Mark Wagner.
Well, if you're David, you have a lot of pitches that are slightly outside called strikes. If they call the one that's slightly inside a strike, it just makes a wide plate.
Chopper to the right side. Swisher cuts it off, throws to Kluber covering. That's out number 1.
As it turned out, it looked like it was a strike.
So Murphy grounds out. Now Lance Berkman. And we'll see what that bunt base hit in the first inning does to Terry Francona's thinking about the defensive alignment.
I think it has to make the manager think twice. It's one thing with 2 outs, but earlier with no outs or 1 out, you might think twice before you do that. Now that he's shown you it's pretty easy for him to do.
And he's going to have Mark Reynolds, the third baseman, now playing off the line, but not swung all the way around to the shortstop spot. So he will guard against that possibility. That leaves a wide open shortstop side of second base. And the first pitch is low to Berkman. It's 1-0. The rest of the infield, as you saw, swung well around to the right side. Kind of an adult league softball alignment. Lance at 274. And Chopper slowly hit. Swisher will take it to the bag himself. That is out number 2. But Kluber getting a lot of ground balls. Well, folks, come on out and meet Rangers pitcher Robbie Ross on June 18th at the Fort Worth location at Ewan Bend Road. Don't miss this chance to win great prizes and to meet one of your Texas Rangers at Whataburger. So 2 outs. Adrian Beltre now steps to the plate. We got some information in on a big night in the Ranger minor league system this evening. Joey Gallo, prized third baseman at Hickory, had a great night. 4 for 4 with 3 home runs in a first game of a doubleheader against Hagerstown. Wow.
Just getting started.
That's a pretty full night. Matt Perk, former TCU pitcher and Rangers draftee, gave up the first 2 home runs.
Pretty good. Lefty versus a lefty.
Yeah. Perk with the Nationals at Hagerstown. Now Gallo with 3 home runs and a double, 4 RBIs, and he scored 4 runs.
Well, we saw him in spring training in Las Vegas. So I'm not shocked that he's hitting home runs the way he launched a couple in that game.
Beltre hits one to his counterpart, Mark Reynolds, across the diamond, and the Rangers again gone quickly and quietly. That's 8 straight now, set down by Kluber and the Indians. We finished scores. The Indians won, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. now through August 13th and enter to win free Rangers tickets and the VIP Rangers experience. Visit otbfanzone.com for more details. Look for you on the border. Now we go to the top of the fifth inning, a 1-0 Cleveland lead. It will be Jan Gomes, the number 8 hitter, to start things off. And joining us in the booth for the fifth inning, Mark McLemore, co-host of Rangers Live before and after Fox Sports Southwest telecast. Mac, it's kind of a dead evening, but I guess that's what good pitching does for both sides.
It really does. It does.
Makes it look like it's dead.
It feels dead.
Yeah.
We haven't seen much of Corey Kluber. You look at his numbers, he's got a strikeout an inning.
Cruz is going back. He is looking up, and that ball's off the wall. Plays the carom, and a great throw to second will hold Gomes to a long single. Well, Nelly playing relatively shallow. That ball shot over his head, but he played the carom perfectly.
A hard hit ball by Gomes. Fortunately, it stayed in the ballpark. Nelly knows he's not going to catch it, so he stops so he can play the hop. Sometimes the outfielder gets too close to the wall, the ball bounces right by him.
A little more than halfway up the wall. A little bare hand. Nice job by Cruz. A bunt here, and it is a foul ball. We'll come back and try it again. Mike Avila's trying to bunt it, and A.J. Brzezinski came up with it in his hand after it was chopped down in the dirt. Unfortunately, he was behind home plate. A.J. trying to sneak one in there. Get rid of it in a hurry, maybe nobody will notice.
That's a surprise. A.J. trying to do that, huh?
Yeah.
They almost threw it into center field.
And I bet if it had gone into center field, he would have been the first one hollering foul ball.
Yeah. I was just kidding. Toss to first, and Gomes is back. Gavilas went down swinging the first time, but he faced Derek Holland tonight. Left-hander ready. 1-1. It's starting to be a little bit troubling, the defensive problems the Rangers have been having of late. Do you see anything mechanically or schedule-wise or anything that might be playing into a little defensive letdown?
You know, I think it's just what you said. It might be just a little bit of a letdown. It's starting to get a little monotonous. It's that time of the season, I think, where, you know, the focus is probably just going away from it just a little bit. And it's not that sense of urgency like it is at the beginning of the season, where your focus is really there on pretty much everything that you're doing. And then when you get to the end of the year, you're starting to focus on everything because, you know, the race is right there. You know that you're either in it or you're out of it. So sometimes throughout the course of the season, you can have those periods where you're not as focused. So I think that's a little bit of what's going on right now.
Mac, we talk about hitters being in a slump all the time. Can a fielder be in a slump? Can you go into a defensive slump?
Absolutely. It can be a number of things. And usually when a fielder goes into a slump, it's usually because of their feet. You know, their feet aren't moving the right way. They'll just be standing there. They don't continue moving their feet coming through a ground ball. So they'll just stand there. And that's, you know, a couple weeks ago we saw Wash talking to Profar. Right. His feet were just at a standstill, and he made a couple of errors early on, and that was the issue. So yes, a fielder can definitely go into a fielding slump.
And Avilas got a high off-speed pitch and promptly banged it through the hole on the left side. So back-to-back singles, opening up the fifth inning, and back to the top of the order with runners at first and second and nobody out.
And Derek's offered up a couple of high changeups today that have been hit pretty hard. That one right down the middle of the plate.
No, Avilas at first. He pushes Gomes to second with that base hit. Derek Holland now in a bit of a jam. He gave up a leadoff double and a run in the fourth inning. Now trying to work around first and second, nobody out here in the fifth inning. Rangers set up their defense, expecting the bunt from Drew Stubbs, who is 0 for 2 tonight. Dave Beltre playing caddy corner down there at third, and McGinnis sneaking down. And the pickoff play that's thrown into center field, up and running, and Gentry not able to come up with the ball cleanly, or he might have had a play. But the throwing error by Holland allows both runners to advance 90 feet. Gomes to third, Aviles to second. Second Ranger error of the night. One thing as a pitcher, you know you can't throw the ball into the runner. If you're going to miss, it's got to be on the second base side of the bag.
Yeah, you want to throw it to the fielder side of the bag for sure and give that fielder an opportunity to catch the ball. If you throw it at the runner, there's no chance.
Yep.
Garcia had absolutely no chance to get that ball.
The Rangers have run that successfully, that pickoff, in the first and second no-out situation a couple of times, and that time it backfired with the errant throw. 0-1, the count to Stubbs. Rangers pulling the infield all the way in. There's a base hit to left field. That's going to score both runs as Aviles got a great jump from second. Read that ball very well. So both Gomes and Aviles score on the RBI single by Drew Stubbs, and the Indians take a 3-0 lead. Mike Maddox out to the mound, and going to have to give Derek Holland a little break. I think Derek is kind of lost in his thoughts right about now.
You know, as a fielder, I was never a big fan of a pickoff play. Unless Pudge was behind the plate, number one, or unless there was a runner on second base that wasn't a base stealer, who was a guy that was just an uncomfortable base runner.
Having Pudge back there, I can understand, because you always knew you were going to get a good throw.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah,
yes.
and it was going to be the right throw at the right spot with a lot on it. But why with a good base runner out there, for example, would you not be comfortable with a pickoff?
Well, because they expect a pickoff play.
Okay.
Good base runners expect a pickoff play, and they know what to do when a pickoff play happens. So they're not going to be caught off guard. You know, a base stealer's expecting a pickoff, you know, from either the pitcher or the catcher. So they're always on guard. A guy that's uncomfortable, he doesn't really know what to do. That's why he's uncomfortable. So he doesn't know where it's going to come from, whether it's the shortstop or the second base, if it's going to be a wheel play, a daylight play, or something. So that's why they're uncomfortable. And those are the guys that I like to pick on.
Now Kipnis hit by a pitch. And Holland really coming apart at the seams now. Command, and he is one frustrated pitcher right about now.
We've seen Derek, for the most part, almost every game have his good stuff. Sometimes it's worked out better than others. Today, you'd have to say, is one of those days, Buzz, he doesn't have his good stuff. Doesn't really have the command that we've seen him have.
Well, I think that's the separator, Tom. His stuff is okay. Just the physical stuff. I don't think he has command of it. As a matter of fact, it looks like to me, for the first time in a while, we see him fighting himself out there in the mound. He really is trying to make himself perform better, and it's not working. And he's in a tug-of-war out there with himself. Here's a drive to the right center field gap. It is down for a base hit. Gentry cuts it off. Around third, coming in to score is Stubbs. And on to third goes Jason Kipnis. The Indians now lead 4-0 as Swisher gets the RBI hit. And another one of those pitches that stayed up and out over the plate from Derek Holland.
Have been too many balls belt high and out over the plate today. A couple of changeups, that one a fastball.
Well, Brzezinski out there to buy a little time. Bullpen heating up. Kyle McClellan, right-hander, loosening out there in right center field. Well, the first 5 have reached base for Cleveland here in the 5th inning. Nobody out. Ryan Rayburn, who doubled to left his last time up. Fouls off the first pitch. It's 0-1. Rayburn 1 for 2 this evening. He's up there with Kipnis at third and Swisher at first. Holland, a letter high set. The next pitch, pop foul, that will reach the seats. It is 0-2.
You know, the difference between Derek Holland last year and this year is in a situation like this. Last year, the wheels would fall off.
Right.
He'd give up 4, 5, 6 runs, and that would be it. And, you know, he's given up 3-run spot, a 4-run spot for 4 this year, but then he would just shut the door. That would be it. He wouldn't give up any more, and he'd be able to stay in the game, and the Rangers offense would be able to, you know, take over and at least come back, but giving up 3 or 4 would be it for him. So hopefully he can do that again today.
Yeah, and this is as much a regression as I've seen Derek have this year. Yeah, and that's going to happen from time to time. You just don't want it, as you say, you want it to be able to end right here and pick up and go on next inning. Learn from the mistakes you made. But yeah, this is the Derek Holland of 2010, 2012, where he just could not put the brakes on a big inning. It got away from him. Trying to clamp down right now. He's got runners at first and third with nobody out. He has a 1-2 count to Ryan Rayburn. Not very deep into center field. Gentry positioning himself for the throw. The tag at third. Going to second is Swisher as the ball comes through. And tagging at third and stopping was Jason Kipnis. He did not come down the line. Instead, Swisher went ahead trying to draw a throw, it looked like, and McGinnis didn't cut it off.
Swisher got there so quick it didn't look like he tagged up. Look, he just took off.
Now, we've seen that happen recently.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're, I guess, Mac, if you're one of the fielders fielding the throw from Gentry, you're assuming that he's going to try to score. Otherwise, you might cut the ball off and try to get the guy going to second, but I guess you have to assume he's trying to score, right?
You got to assume he's trying to score, but somebody's got to let him know that he's not going.
Yeah.
And tell him to cut the ball and get Swisher going to second base. You can't let him just run free like that going there, and you know that the guy's stopped.
Looked like on that shot we had Adrian was yelling and pointing to second base.
Well, it was
might have been too late.
It was too late with Adrian. One of the middle infield guys should have done it.
And Carlos Santana takes just a little bit low. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Now with second and third and 1 out, again the Ranger infield pulled all the way in. Rangers trailing 4-0. Trying to lock down this 5th inning if they can get it done with Santana at the plate. Check swing, and that's low. It's 2 balls, no strikes. And the appeal down to first, and no swing, says Las Diaz.
Well, Santana the last 2 years has walked 97 times and 91 times. This year his average is up about 20 or 30 more points. He's a good hitter, becoming even better.
Holland's 2-0 pitch. Inside corner, got that off-speed pitch in. And it's 2-1.
One of those trades that will turn out to be a very good trade for Cleveland. They traded Casey Blake, kind of a veteran guy, utility player. They weren't going to re-sign him anyway. You get a young guy like Santana. One of those trades you dream about.
Now 3-1 to Santana. Carlos, the designated hitter, hitting 5th. He'll be followed by the 3rd baseman, and that's Mark Reynolds. Derek back to the plate. Ball 4. So down to first will go Santana. It didn't really look like Derek wanted much to do, especially once he fell behind Santana. Wasn't going to give in to him at all. And, that walk will load him up for Mark Reynolds, who is 2 for 2 tonight. And Ron Washington making his way to the mound. And I don't think this is a teaching moment. I think that Derek Holland, after 85 pitches tonight, I'd forgotten that Mike Maddox had gone out there this inning. My mistake. So that is it for Derek Holland, no matter what. Not a happy camper, and rightfully so. He leaves on the short end of a 4-0 score. Kyle McClellan coming on. And we will tell you about the right-hander when we come back after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. Sports Network. Fox Sports 1 will be your home for great live sports, all the news and highlights you want, and shows and specials that only Fox can bring you. America's new sports network is Fox Sports 1, coming August 17th. Now Kyle McClellan making his second appearance for the Rangers. McClellan, who last several years was a main part of the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen, came over to the Rangers, signed as a free agent in January. And he is on now. You see the numbers that he had up in Toronto in his only outing. First pitch to Reynolds. A shot to Beltre. He picks it off. And Garcia will turn it at second. That's all you needed. Kyle McClellan to come in, throw one pitch, a double play, and that'll do it. The Indians, though, score 3 times. They strand 2. Halfway through the ballgame, Cleveland 4, Texas nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. For nothing. Rangers found themselves down by an almost identical score, an identical situation on Sunday in Toronto. Came back to win that ball game, so they're in comeback mode once again against Corey Kluber this time.
We were talking about Kluber earlier, Buzz. He doesn't walk many. He's only walked 9 batters, and tonight he's only walked 1. But generally, he's more of a strikeout pitcher. He's averaged over a strikeout per inning. He hasn't struck out anybody in the game tonight. But he's had good movement on his fastball. He's gotten a lot of ground balls. He looks more like a sinker slider guy than a guy that would get a lot of strikeouts. At least that's the way he's throwing tonight. But he's had games where he struck out 10 against the Red Sox. He struck out 8 in his last start against the Yankees.
And he will work to A.J. Pierzynski to start off the Ranger 5th inning. And A.J., who walked his first time, takes strike 1. Well, Terry Francona said of Kluber that he was watching him grow up right before his eyes this year. Of course, Terry just taken over the Indians at the start of this season, so he hadn't seen a lot of Kluber. But Terry Francona very impressed with the progress that this young man has made from the start of spring training to where we are now. And he said a big part of that was Kluber's willingness and ability to pitch inside the guys. So that made all the difference in the world once he started doing that aggressively, kept people off the pitch away. There's a base hit for Pierzynski, and boy, A.J. is swinging a magic wand right now. That is hot. Pierzynski, a leadoff base hit to start the Ranger 5th.
A.J. going with a pitch. Ball out over the plate, tailing away from him just a little bit.
A boy, take two, go to left.
Yeah, why not?
That is a third base hit for the Rangers tonight, their first since the first inning. Nelson Cruz grounded into a double play his first time up there. There's a breaking ball that settles in for strike one. Nelly, as you can see, at an even 260. But he's hit a hard 260. A lot of damage. 15 home runs, 43 RBI. A rip and a foul. And it moves the count 2-0-2. It was Nelly Cruz that got the Rangers going Sunday in Toronto as he hit a right center field home run in that ball game. The 0-2 pitch coming from Kluber. Got him swinging. High fastball, and Nelly couldn't get on top of it. That is out number one. There's your first strikeout.
Yep, there you go.
For the big right-hander. One away, Chris McGinnis coming up.
Trying to throw it away. He throws it up and in. Got the strikeout with it, though.
McGinnis grounded out to first, his only time up tonight. 2 for 9. It is playing in his third big league game. The breaking ball settles in for strike one. McGinnis at AAA off to a real solid start before he was recalled. Hit 275 for Round Rock. 6 home runs in 55 ball games. He drove in 34. And he was swinging the bat very well the last 35 ball games. He hit 317. Well, the Rangers brought him up when he was on a pretty good hot streak. 1-1 pitch. The left field, that is slicing into the left field corner, and a nice running catch by Michael Brantley. Well, he just glided after that ball and ran it down, and McGinnis is a hard out, number 2.
Well hit ball by Chris. I thought off the bat he might have hit it hard enough to get into the corner. Brantley got a nice jump on it, though.
Didn't have much fade to it. I thought it was going to fade a little bit more toward the line and fall in.
I did too.
Well, Brantley tracking down that shot from McGinnis. 2 gone. Still at first base, A.J. Przinsky. And here's Craig Gentry. Gentry had a ground ball to short as he led off the third inning. And that's going to go off the glove of the pitcher Kluber, but a force play at second will end the Ranger 5th inning. No runs a hit, 1 man left. After 5, 4-0 Cleveland. Mac, thanks for joining us. We will see you after the ball game on Rangers Live.
All right.
Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by the all-new Mazda 6. When you change everything, you change everything. It's twilight here at Rangers ballpark in Arlington. Kyle McClellan, who came in to throw one pitch and get 2 outs on a double play to end the 5th inning, will now stride up to the top of the hill and begin things in the 6th against Michael Brantley, bottom 3rd of the Indians order.
Well, that was an inning that could have gotten away from the Rangers. As it is, it stayed at 4 runs, so Rangers in much better shape to try to come back. So that was a big pitch by Kyle.
Yes, it was. You were right about that. Got the double play off the bat of Mark Reynolds. Brantley 0 for 2 tonight, as you can see. He grounded into a double play. First time up there, or second time up there, and he takes high. It's 2-0. McClellan, a 28-year-old, just about ready to turn 29. As a matter of fact, tomorrow is his birthday. He'll be 29. This is high and outside. Out of Florissant, Missouri. Pitched for the Cardinals since 2008. Was a mainstay of their bullpen. 2011, however, he had 17 starts along with his work out of the pen. He walks Brantley on 4 pitches, and that's how the 6th inning begins for the Indians. And let's go back over to Jim Knox. Jim?
All right, Buzz, real quick. We have just met 86-year young Donna. She comes all the way in from Florida, a huge Texas Ranger fan, and loves David Murphy, taking her in her very first baseball game. What do you think, Donna?
I think it's a wonderful game. And the field is a lot bigger than what I thought it would be.
Now, I understand you watch all the time in Florida. You ever heard of Buzz and Tom?
I sure have, and I really love them. Buzz and Tom.
They're great. And if David Murphy was standing right here, what would you say to him?
I'd say, David, come here. I love you.
All right, Don. Well, enjoy the rest of the game. Good to have you out here for the first time. Thank you.
That's great.
All right. Yeah, David Murphy fan. There we go.
That is great. People watch every game like that. They come up with a favorite player. Then finally got a chance to come out here and see a game. I remember the first game I saw, Buzz. That's the first thing that hit me. The field is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be.
There's a pitch on the inside corner to Yan Gomes. It's 0-1. Was that at Yankee Stadium?
Yankee Stadium.
First game you saw?
Never forget that feeling, walking through the tunnel, through the gate to come out on the field, and it was greener, bigger.
Yeah.
And I'd listened to a lot of games. Mel Allen, Red Barber described the action, so I knew that there were monuments in center field, and wasn't sure exactly what a facade looked like in the outfield, but my father pointed that out to me. But just seeing the players in the field was an incredible feeling. So I was a lot younger than she was, but probably similar feelings when you see the field for the first time.
There goes the runner from first. The pitch fouled away.
What was your first game?
I went to the first major league game that I saw was in the old L.A. Coliseum. Dodgers had moved out there, and
Wally Moon, was that when he was hitting the home runs?
Wally Moon shots. 250 feet down the left field line with a 40-foot high screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was, I agree with you. And that, I had been to the Coliseum to see football a couple years before. And it was an entirely different. There goes Brantley again. And the throw by Pierzynski not nearly in time. Brantley able to swipe second.
He had a great jump on the foul ball, and then he got another great jump right there. AJ got rid of it quickly, but he just had zero chance on that one. Kyle's just a little bit deliberate to the plate, and Brantley runs pretty well to begin with.
So Brantley now at second, nobody out. A 1-ball, 2-strike count to Yan Gomes. Breaking ball in the dirt. Pierzynski, a nice job of blocking it to prevent any more advancement.
Pretty good variety of stadiums for the first game. Dave Burchett, our director, saw his first game at Old Crosley Field in Cincinnati. I never saw that ballpark. Kurt Dykert, our producer, saw his first game in Pittsburgh. Forbes Field. Saw that on TV when the Yankees played the Pirates in the World Series, but never got a chance to walk in that old stadium.
2-2 pitch, low and away, and the count has gone full now. to Jan Gomes, with Mike Aviles, the number 9 man in the on-deck circle. So Kyle McClellan trying to establish the strike zone for himself. Now the payoff pitch on the way. Hot shot. McGinnis has it. He will take it to first as Brantley got a pretty good jump going to third. McGinnis thought about it, but saw where Brantley was and took it to first for the out. That's one away, and Mike Aviles coming up.
Kelly Donaldson says he saw his first game in Kansas City.
Yeah. The old Municipal Stadium.
Yeah, I remember playing in that old ballpark. That was a tough clubhouse to get up to.
Yeah.
Had to walk underneath the stands, if I remember, to get up to it.
Right. Yeah, not a lot of creature comforts in the old ballpark.
No, there weren't, but they were great.
Rangers now pull the infield in again with one out. Aviles at the plate. Aviles 1 out of 2 tonight. Singled his last time up, scored a run.
A lot of small clubhouses and small dugouts, small bullpens. Everything was smaller.
Shot foul. Apparently, the people who designed those old parks were a lot shorter, too, because every time you stand up in the dugout, you beat your head on something.
Well, at old Tiger Stadium, they had really small dugouts, and they overcompensated in the new park. They got the biggest dugouts in history to play a game inside those dugouts.
2-1, the count to Aviles. Yeah, and that guy at Tiger Stadium who designed the dugouts also designed the walkway going from the clubhouse down to the tunnel. It was about 4 feet high. Little looper down the right side. That's going to twist back into the seats, the front row. Nice catch by a fan down there. Brought his gloves. Yeah, I put it to good use. Two balls and 2 strikes to Mike Aviles. McClellan back to the plate. And it's popped up. On the infield, Leury Garcia making the call and the catch. Elvis trying to impersonate Adrian Beltre, putting his glove up like he was going to catch it, but nobody was buying that. So out number 2, and now back to the top of the order, Drew Stubbs. Watch Elvis. Adrian's looking up there, and Elvis puts his glove up. Adrian saw that. So
that's copycat right there. That's weak.
Yeah, and Adrian will get Elvis for that.
That's still an Adrian shtick right there.
That may be a kangaroo court subject. A rip and a miss by Stubbs. Stubbs 1 for 3 and a big 2-run single in the 3-run 5th inning for the Indians. It's just off the outside corner. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Stubbs with a 2 RBI, now 21 driven in this season. To right center field, into the gap. Greg Gentry hauls it in. That'll do it. So McClellan able to work around the leadoff walk and stolen base. Tried to strand a runner after 5.5. Cleveland 4, Texas nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. inning brought to you by Sonic. Tonight, jackpot is worth $700 and dinner for two at Sonic Restaurant. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Patricia Roberts from Fort Worth. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during the inning, Patricia Roberts from Fort Worth will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Leori Garcia, the number 9 man, will start things off. And Corey Kluber, young man from Coppell High School, has really had the Rangers' number tonight. Just 3 hits. And he is still under 50 pitches this evening. That's his 47th of the night. As it sails in low to Garcia. Leuri, a ground ball to short. His first time up. Right-hander rocks and deals. And the pitch high and inside. Spins him around. There's that inside fastball. Or the willingness to come in there with a good fastball that Terry Francona was talking about when discussing Corey Kluber and his rise to competency at the major leagues. And the pitch is low. It's 3-0. So Garcia trying to get aboard. Rangers down by 4. Elvis Andrus in the top of the order await. Kluber back to the plate. Fastball right down the middle. It's 3-1. Larry, a 176 hitter. As he faces the right-hander Kluber. And ball 4. Pitch up and out of the strike zone to Uri Garcia. A 1 on, nobody out. Let's go down to the field. Emily Jones down there.
Well, Buzz, Elvis Andrus' struggles of late have been well documented, causing many to question if it's the fact that he's hitting in that leadoff spot in place of Ian Kinsler while Ian is on the DL. Elvis, quick to dismiss that notion.
It's more about me. I think it's more about, just get the feeling that I always have every time I'm out there in the, hitting and trying to be aggressive and just put good swings, and everything will come back. So I don't really put that much pressure on it.
So Elvis trying not to put too much pressure on himself regardless of where he is in the lineup. However, he does say he spent a lot more time in the cage working with hitting coach Dave Magadan and hoping to see the results here sooner rather than later.
All right, Emily, thank you. First pitch to Elvis is outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, Ron Washington, for one, thinks that Elvis might be trying to do too much as a leadoff man. Although Ron certainly doesn't seem surprised by that. He said, hey, it happens. Guys are different, and we all react differently to changes. And Elvis wants to do so well that sometimes he does some things that he probably shouldn't. Takes that pitch high, and it's 2-0. And it's really easy to tell a guy, just relax and everything will be fine. Unless you're in that guy's uniform.
Yeah,
it's not quite that easy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Elvis is an excellent number 2 hitter, and there's no reason why he can't be a solid leadoff hitter.
Right.
And chances are, if Ian was still leading off and Elvis was hitting second, he still might be in a little bit of lull right now. You can go into a little bit of a lull no matter where you're hitting in the lineup, where you're comfortable or not. So it might have nothing to do with that. It's tough to know for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've seen guys in your days of playing, Tom, that they had it in their heads they couldn't hit in a particular spot in the lineup, and they didn't hit in that spot.
If you've got that in your head that you can't do it, you probably won't.
Yeah,
you probably won't. I think the one way to look at leadoff hitter is the one time you're a leadoff hitter is to start the game. After that, you're just part of the lineup.
Yeah,
just pretend you're not leading off.
Yeah. The 3 balls and no strikes to count. Kluber sets, head back to Andrus. 3-1. Well, Elvis patiently taking, and that's one thing that he has done very well, no matter what the results have been, swinging the bat. He's been very good at taking pitches when he should. Garcia the lead from first. 3-1 the count to Andrus. And it's 3-2.
That's one thing Elvis is willing to do. Most big league hitters aren't unless they get the take sign. I don't know that Wash gives the take sign right there. But Elvis, in this kind of a situation, you need to take that 3-1 pitch. Make him throw you 3 straight strikes. You need a rally. You need to get men on base. And he's willing to do that. Always has been.
There goes Garcia. The pitch is fouled back. Ron giving Garcia the green light to go, and he had a good job. For the leaderboard tonight, we will take a look at the career averages against Cleveland. Active players, the highest average, Elvis Andrus, with that 34-game hitting streak and a 380 average. David Murphy at 364. So the top two are in the Ranger lineup. And Murphy in the on-deck circle. So you would think that would bode well for the Rangers, although facing Corey Kluber, who hasn't been with Cleveland all that long, has really very little to say about that streak or those streaks. 3-2 with nobody out. Leury Garcia, a good lead at first as Kluber sets. And Garcia on the move again. The pitch inside, ball 4. And the first 2 Rangers have reached here in the 6th inning.
Now you're talking about a guy, Kluber, who's walked 9 guys coming into the game in 10 games, 8 starts. And he's walked 3 tonight, 2 in a row here in the 6th inning. So I guess you'd have to say that's highly unusual for the first third of the season for him.
Mickey Callaway out to the mound, the pitching coach. Put his arm around Jan Gomes, and he gets the infield to come in as he talks to Corey Kluber. 2 on, nobody out. David Murphy is the hitter. Well, folks, every Thursday and Saturday regular season home game, including this Thursday's game against the Blue Jays, sections 201 through 208 become the Kia K-Zone. And fans seated in the Kia K-Zone receive a complimentary T-shirt and K-card to celebrate the strikeouts racked up by Rangers pitchers. Tickets for Thursday's game are just $32, and they can be found at texasrangers.com/K-Zone. So 2 on, nobody out. David Murphy 0 for 2 this evening. A couple of times up there with men on, and he drives one to left field, but backpedaling a bit. Michael Brantley makes the catch. Garcia tags. He's going to third. The throw, and they got him. Not a very good move. Down by 4 by Leury Garcia. Another double play off the bat of David Murphy.
David Murphy is snake bitten, boy. The last couple of days, the balls he's hit for double plays are just kind of unusual.
That is 7-5 at double plays. Brantley showing off a very good arm.
It looked like the kind of play that you might be able to go to third on. Fairly deep, a little bit back on his heels, but even with Garcia's speed, Brantley's strong, accurate throw is able to nip him at third base.
2 outs now. Elvis at first, and the pitch to Berkman is outside for ball 1.
So much for that rally.
Well, you know, there's being aggressive, and I'm all for that. But when you're down by 4,
yeah,
that's not the time.
No, you have to know you can get
right
there.
Yeah.
It can't be a close play.
Outside, and it's 2-0 now to Berkman. Jan Gomes kind of holding the pose for a second. And Leury Garcia, part of the learning process. Rangers have seen quite a few teaching moments here the last month. Now the 2-0 coming to Berkman. 2-1, knee-high strike. Lance, of course, back in the first had that bunt single with the overshift on, nobody in the third base slot, and he was able to drop the bunt down. Last time up, grounded to first. And you see the Indians have made the adjustment with Reynolds, the third baseman, staying in a much more traditional position. 3 balls and a strike. Well, for the first time tonight, Corey Kluber has shown signs of having a little bit of command problem. Rangers took advantage with the first 2 walks, but then the line drive double play, and that kind of removed some of the pressure. 3-1 to Berkman. Grounded to the right side. Out there is Kipnis. He will throw to Kluber covering. And that's it. 4-1 on the putout. Rangers get a couple of walks, Strand one. We will go on to the 7th inning. The Indians 4, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Tonight, it's been all Indians. 4 runs, 9 hits for Cleveland, and no runs, 3 hits for the Rangers. Derek Holland, 4 1/3 innings. Gave up all 4 runs on 9 base hits, his shortest outing of the season. Meanwhile, Corey Kluber from Coppell High School. 6 innings of work, 3 hits, no runs, 3 walks, and a strikeout. Kyle McClellan back to the hill. He will start his 2nd full inning of work. And he will face Jason Kipnis, Nick Swisher, and Ryan Rayburn. Kipnis, 1 out of 2. 1 ball, no strikes. Kipnis, a 3rd inning single. He was hit by a pitch last time up in the 5th. There is a strike. It is 1-1. McClellan, 68 appearances for the Cardinals in 2010, the high water mark for him. 2011, he was 12-7 with St. Louis. Made 17 starts that year. 26 relief appearances, a .419 earned run average. And last year, the arm miseries got him. And he's still recovering toward the end of spring training. Started the year at AAA for the Rangers. A little nubber foul down the 3rd base side. And the count is 2-2. And 3-2 now as that pitch slipped out of his hand. Well, Kipnis hitting in the number 2 spot will be followed in the order by Nick Swisher. Now time called. Kipnis not quite ready. Now they pay off pitch. Outside, ball 4. Well, McClellan, who walked Brantley to lead off the 6th inning, walks Kipnis here in the 7th to start things off. And Swisher, after the RBI single his last time up, will come to the plate. Neil Kotz, the left-hander, loosening in the Ranger bullpen. Kotz was the Ranger good luck charm on that last road trip. He accounted for both wins in relief. The one in Boston, the one in Toronto. Swisher with 23 RBIs. And McClellan goes to work on Kipnis. Cleveland very much a base stealing team. They like to run the sacks. Kipnis is one of them. He's on the move. Pitches outside. The throw is high. And Kipnis in with the stolen base. Well, with McClellan on the mound, Brzezinski just not having any time at all to have a legitimate chance to throw somebody out. Second stolen base. Brantley had one last inning.
I don't think it mattered what kind of throw that A.J. made. Kipnis was, in all likelihood, going to steal that base anyway.
Check swing. The pitch is outside. It's 2 balls and no strikes to Nick Swisher.
Kipnis leads the Indians in stolen bases. He's got 13. Michael Bourne only has 9.
Rip and a miss. It's 2-1. Nick Swisher, a very animated player. And ball 3 is high.
Yeah, Kyle's struggling with his command. He's thrown 29 pitches. Only 12 of them have been strikes.
Right-hander sets. The 3-1 pitch. Off the end of the bat, a little roller to short. Elvis going to have to unload in a hurry and get Swisher. Nice play by Andrews. That is the first out. On to third goes Kipnis. Well, Elvis going toward the bag at second had to reverse himself and had to make a very good off-balance throw to get Swisher.
And cued it right off the end of the bat.
But once again, the Rangers pull their infield in. Ryan Rayburn is the hitter. And he takes strike 1. Rayburn 1 for 3. That double in the 4th inning led off the frame for the Indians. He came around to score on Mark Reynolds' base hit. Fastball in from McClellan. And it's 0-2. Rayburn, who went to the spring training camp with the Indians as a non-roster invitee, had a great spring, and Indians activated him on the major league roster at the end of camp, the 31st of March. He hit 341, I should say, in the spring with 5 home runs. Check swing, that off-speed pitch is low. And the count moves to 2-2. McClellan okays the sign. And the right-hander's next pitch. Outside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Well, from 0-2 to 3-2. And Rayburn hitting 4th will be followed by the switch hitting DH, Carlos Santana. Payoff pitch on the way. Line drive right at Beltre. Holds the pose, taking that off of his right knee with that glove.
Extremely hard hit ball by Rayburn. Fortunately, it was right at Beltre.
And that's why they call it the hot corner.
It is the hot corner. Got Santana up there, left-hand hitter. Reynolds, right-hand hitter on deck. Actually, Santana's a switch hitter, batting left-handed against the right-hand pitcher.
And Santana tonight, 1 for 2, a single. He's also had a walk. All the way to the backstop, and Karam's down the third baseline, and in to score on the wild pitch is Jason Kipnis, and the Indians extend their lead to 5-0. Well, there's that backstop coming into play again. You have no idea on a wild pitch which way the thing's going to carry him.
You just got to get a jump and be ready to stop and go back or keep going based on where the ball bounces. That one could have kicked back, right straight back to A.J. with, depending on where it hit the wall. Just hit the wall and deflected the other way.
Well, 1 ball and no strikes. And the next pitch is high to make it 2-0 to Santana. McCollin ready. And the pitch chopped foul down the first base side. It is 2-1. Santana 2 out of 6 in this series. He's going to walk that off and get the pain out of that front foot. He's back in there ready to go. And a strike on the outer edge. 2-2 now. McCollin back to the plate. Into the teeth of the shift. And Leroy Garcia fires on to Chris McGinnis. That'll do it, but the Indians come up with a run on no hits. A walk, stolen base, and a wild pitch. Bottom of the 7th inning coming up. The Indians 5, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Jimmy John, freaky fast delivery of the game. Pretty good outfield work. Check out David Murphy against Carlos Santana. Murphy cutting it off, firing a strike in a freaky fast hurry. Santana gone and Murphy going the other way. How about Michael Brantley? Throws out by Uri Garcia trying to advance. A couple left fielders showing off their freaky fast deliveries tonight. Adrian Beltre leading off in the Rangers 7th, 5-0. Beltre 0 for 2 with a couple of groundouts and looks at strike one. Adrian have to get that perspiration out from underneath his helmet. 0-1 pitch. 0-2. Now Corey Kluber, despite having a little bit of a rough inning last inning, really been outstanding. Under 70 pitches as he's working to Beltre here to start off the 7th inning. Rangers just 3 hits tonight. Kluber has also walked a couple. Pitch on the way to Beltre.
That's a good slider that he's got, too. It's nice movement on his fastball, not overpowering as far as velocity goes, but looks like it's a little sneaky with good movement.
27-year-old right-hander to the wind. And Beltre pops it into center field.
Real good slider.
Stubbs there to make the grab. That is out number 1. It'll bring A.J. Przinsky to the plate. While A.J. walks up, let's take a Mazda game break with John Radigan. John? All right, John, thank you. Przinsky ropes a pitch foul down the right side. Out in front of that off-speed delivery, and A.J. will come back and try it again. Przinsky 1 for 1 tonight, a walk and a single. Continuing to swing a very hot bat for the Rangers. Przinsky, since coming back off the disabled list, shoots that foul. Hit better than 370. This is 18th game since being activated. He's extended his hitting streak to 6 consecutive games. 0-2. So Jan Gomes trying to get Kluber to throw a high fastball, and Kluber didn't want to do it. Still wants him to. He said, okay, fine. That's what you want me to do.
Well, you can put it up there. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to throw it there anyway.
I'll agree to it, but I'm still not going to do it.
Oh, the things that go on between a pitcher and catcher. 1-2. In the dirt. And A.J. laying off that pitch. Przinsky with the base hit now, hitting at .308. Chopper foul, and the count remains even. 45,200 on hand here tonight. Rangers drawing extremely well. As we mentioned, the top drawing team average-wise in the American League. 39,300 plus per game here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Roller to the right side, cut off by Swisher. Underhand to Kluber, and that's out number 2. Przinsky retired for the first time this evening. 2 outs, and Nelson Cruz coming in. Folks, don't forget to play Lotto Texas with Extra for your chance to win Texas-sized jackpots. It's Texas' original jackpot game, available at your favorite lottery retailer. Gelly Cruz has grounded into a double play and struck out. 0 for 2 tonight at .259 average as he faces Kluber here in the 7th inning. Outside, first pitch from Kluber, ball 1. Corey Kluber at 6'4" and 215 pounds deals that breaking ball in. Kluber went to Stetson, which is in northern Florida. Very well-known baseball school, a small school. He pitched for 3 years down there. Drafted by the Padres. Cruz, a drive to left center field. That is up the alley, and it's going to the wall. Brantley plays the carom and easing into second base with a double is Nelson Cruz. And Cruz continues to be on his extra base hit binge. His last 6 hits now, 5 of them have gone for doubles. He's had 3 doubles and 2 home runs.
He ran that pitch in on him. Got it inside the third of the plate. Didn't get it all the way in there. Well, he's still able to launch it out to the warning track there in left center field. Not quite as hard as he hit the double last night out there. He's trying to get on the scoreboard against Kluber.
Chris McGinnis, the hitter. McGinnis lined sharply to left field last time up. He is 0 for 2, having grounded out his first time. Kluber, a long look in as Gomes goes through a series of signs. First pitch is a breaking ball off the inside corner for ball 1. Kluber, check of second. The 1-0 pitch. Knee-high strike. 1-1 to McGinnis. McGinnis, a 25-year-old out of Charleston, South Carolina, went to the Citadel in his hometown. Takes the next pitch low, and it's 2-1. He was with Cleveland in spring training. The Indians took him as a Rule 5 pick last year. McGinnis spent all spring in the Cleveland camp. Cleveland had to offer him back to the Rangers at the end of spring training. They were not going to keep him on the Major League roster, and the Rangers said, fine, we'll take him back. No problem there. He began the season at AAA, Round Rock, and here he is the first part of June in the big leagues. Two and two facing Kluber. In the dirt, it gets away from Gomes. Down to third goes Cruz. Sure, they're going to rule that a wild pitch. It did kick up dirt. So, when in doubt, give it to the catcher.
Yeah.
The wild pitch now. Nelly just 90 feet away, carrying the first Ranger run of the ball game. 3-2 with 2 out. Nelly inching his way down the third base line. We've already had 1 run scored tonight on a wild pitch. Payoff pitch on the way. Fouled back. And we'll try it again. Well, we've seen a Chris McGinnis. It looks like he's had a very short, compact stroke. Generates a lot of bat speed in a very short amount of time.
Hey, he's hit a couple of balls hard since he's been here. That double in Toronto last night, he just missed a home run down the line. Hit a line shot. Second deck out there. Today he's hit the ball well to left center field. He's had some good at bats.
And once again, the 3-2 pitch coming. Breaking ball, call strike 3, and he knew it.
That's a good, sharp breaking slider.
That hook coming in the back door, and that'll do it for the Rangers. No runs to hit. They strand a runner. We're going to the 8th inning in Arlington. 5-0 Cleveland on Fox Sports Southwest.
time for the Progressive Fan of the Game, Buzz and Tom. We're going to give it to the entire Cooper family. They come all the way in from Amarillo. And big Ranger fans, they also bring all the kids, of course, and you have some interesting names.
Oh, we absolutely do. Mimi and Papa up here brought us down to Dallas, and we huge Ranger fans. We named our kids. This is Mason Ranger Cooper right here. This is Max Kinsler Cooper. We've got Micah Harrison Cooper, my brother and his wife, and they've also got Colby Ryan Cooper.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
All right, well, here's a Progressive bag. I know we probably should have filled it with diapers, but congratulations.
Thank you.
If you had one more, who would that be?
Oh, we were gonna name our next son Buzz Cooper. Can we have one more? Okay, no, I guess
we'll
we're done.
cut it off at that. All right, well, congratulations, and good to have the Amarillo town.
Go Rangers!
I appreciate it. Buzz.
Oh, no denying that's a Ranger family.
You aren't kidding about that. How about that? Well, Neil Kotz, the new pitcher for the Rangers. Left-hander on to take over in the 8th inning, and here are the numbers for Kotz.
Pretty solid numbers right there.
Kotz still very, very tough in late game situations. That 0.82 earned run average, but he just refuses to give anything up. Going inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to count to Mark Reynolds. Well, the Indians 5 runs on 9 hits. They have played errorless ball. Rangers no runs on 4 hits. They had 2 errors, and that sharp breaking ball from Kotz down and in. It's 2-1. Reynolds 2 for 3 tonight. An RBI single in the 4th inning. Last time up in the 5th, grounded into a double play. He was the first batter that Kyle McClellan faced. Fastball strike. That evens the count. McClellan tonight 2 2/3 innings of work. Gave up a run, no hits, 2 walks, and no strikeouts. Very uneven outing, I guess, for Kyle McClellan. Now 3-2. Looks like Kyle went through streaks where just couldn't get the ball anywhere close to where he wanted. Then he'd throw enough pitches to pinpoint to get a couple of outs, work out of a jam. Kotz with the payoff pitch to center field, going to his left. Trey Gentry puts it away. That is out number 1. Well, the results are in for the AT&T Twitter poll tonight. The most memorable of Nolan's feats in a Ranger uniform. 53% of you said the 5,000th strikeout, followed closely behind by the 7th no-hitter, but 5,000 strikeout got the nod by some 9 percentage points. See, Tom, you were in the majority.
Yeah. I agree with him. Nolan's take was he didn't think he was going to be in a position to get another no-hitter. Little did he know how well he was going to throw the ball as a Ranger, though. He was in a position to get a number of no-hitters here.
Fastball for a strike to Michael Brantley, and it's 1-1. Well, when he's surprised, you know that's really an accomplishment. He surprises himself. Brantley fouls it off to the left, and the count moves to 1-2. When you signed him in 1989, did you think that he was going to be as good as he was for the first few years?
You know, when we signed Nolan, a lot of people to this day say, well, that was a lucky publicity stunt. But the fact is that John Young was our major league scout in the National League, and his report on the National League about Nolan that year was that he was still one of the 3 toughest hitters to face in the National League, one of the 3 toughest pitchers in the National League. So we needed pitching help, and that was the bottom line in signing Nolan, was we needed a good pitcher. So, you know, you can't say you expected him to strike out 300 batters and win 16 games.
Right.
But I think the expectation was he was still going to be a nightmare for American League hitters to face. Now, obviously, when he pitched that well, there was a huge public relations benefit to it, but that had nothing to do with it in signing him in the first place. It was strictly a baseball decision. Man, did he uphold his side of the baseball decision.
Looped into left field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Murph has to play it on a hop, and Brantley on at first with his first base hit of the night. Well, he's aboard with one out. Jan Gomes coming up. The Indians now with 10 base hits here this evening.
No, any major league player is competitive. I don't know that any were more competitive than Nolan to pitch as long as he did at that level. And he didn't have anything to prove when he came to the Rangers. And chances are he would have continued to pitch fine if he stayed in Houston. But you have to think, as competitive as he is, that when he came here, somewhere in the back of his mind, he's thinking, I'm going to prove to the Astros that they made a mistake, and I'm going to prove myself to these young players in the American League that I'm still on top.
Double play grounder, 6-4-3, and that removes Michael Brantley, and it also sends the Rangers back to the dugout. We're going to the bottom of the 8th, 5-0 Cleveland.
Again here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. There will still be plenty to talk about on Rangers Live, brought to you by Esurance. Immediately following the game, John Radigan back here in the Captain Morgan Club and getting ready for the show. Mark McLemore will join me. We will break this down no matter what happens in the final two Rangers at bats. We will also get lots of post-game reaction for you. And, of course, we'll hear from Ron Washington and the players. Emily Jones will help us do that. It's all coming up. Rangers Live, presented by Esurance right after the game, guys.
All right, John, thank you. Yeah, a couple of moves as Corey Kluber heads out to the mound for his 8th inning of work. Kluber still a great pitch count, only 84 pitches through the first 7. 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, only 4 hits in shutting out the Rangers thus far. And Ron Washington has gone to the bench to pull off Leonis Martin as a pinch hitter for Craig Gentry to start things off. And a strike is thrown to Martin. Leonis at 258, a couple of home runs, 9 driven in. Kluber back to him and hits the outside corner. It is 0-2. Right-hander back to Martin, who lost a fly ball lazily out to left field. Michael Brantley there. That is out number 1. Well, Leonis Martin flies to left. Now another pinch hitter, be Jurickson Profar, coming off the bench to hit for Leori Garcia. Jurickson Profar stepping in as the pinch hitter. Profar also at 258, a couple of home runs and 6 RBI. And he looks at strike 1 from Kluber. Jurickson not starting tonight for the first time in well over a week. Takes that pitch down low. And Ron Washington giving him most of the night off. Comes in hitting just 184 in his last 10 ball games. Inside, just off the plate, and it's 2-1. Well, you talk about closest thing to mastery of the Rangers you're going to see.
3 innings with less than 10 pitches.
And that's the thing, a guy like Kluber, and nothing fancy about it at all. As you mentioned, Tom, a lot of fastballs and a hard breaking ball, and that's been about it. Nothing tricky about it, but inside, outside, up, down. Getting guys swinging early in the count as Profar laces one to right field for a 1-out single. Well, Jurickson a pinch hit, base hit. Now the Rangers go back to the top of the order for Elvis Andrus.
Nice swing by Jurickson. Good part of the bat on that.
Well, Elvis up there now, 1 for 2. Had a single to open up the Ranger first inning. After that, he has grounded out and walked. 255 the average for the Rangers shortstop. Strike to the outside corner. Jason Frazier up and throwing in the Ranger bullpen. Kluber's 0-1 pitch is coming. Just came in the front door. The cut fastball, the hard slider cut fastball. Elvis, a couple of words for Mark Wagner as he walked by and took a stroll away from the box. And you can see that pitch a couple of inches off the inside corner according to the pitch track. But the count is 0-2. Kluber sets a check at first. So far a modest lead. Line drive down the right field line. It is slicing and going foul. Not by much, but Laz Diaz, the first base umpire down there, and immediately threw the hands up in the air. Ball about 3 feet on the foul side of the line. Dave Anderson over there talking to him. Not sure what that was about. Point of order, probably. Again, the 0-2 pitch. And that one just stayed inside. Again, Kluber trying that front door breaking ball. And Elvis able to take it off the plate inside. No, it's 1-2. Right-hander agrees to the sign. And a chopper slowly hit to short. Aviles, one play, and that's on to first. He gets the out of Andrus. On to second goes Profar, who is in scoring position now for David Murphy. Well, here comes Murphy, who has hit into about as bad of luck as you can tonight. A couple of line drives that not only were caught, but they were turned into double plays. I mean, it's one thing to be unlucky for yourself, but when it involves somebody else too, that's not good.
A line drive to third, line drive to left for double plays. Not to mention the one he hit to first the other day.
Well, a base hit right here would get the Rangers on the scoreboard. First pitch is on the outside corner for strike one. Murphy in his other at bat grounded out to first base. So 0 for 3 tonight. That batting average now down to 212. Murph just 3 for his last 28 trips to the plate. Rip and a miss as Kluber pulled the string on him. No balls, 2 strikes. Murph, who until tonight had really enjoyed hitting against these Indians going back 3 years, hit over 400 against them. The left center field, and a long run for Stubbs. He dives and can't make the play. In to score is Profar, into second with the RBI 2-out double, David Murphy. And the Rangers are on the board. It's 5-1, Cleveland.
You got to start somewhere. A 2-out rally wouldn't hurt. David sliced that ball. Stubbs got a good jump. He's got excellent speed. Really nice athlete out in center field. Gave it a great try, but the ball keeps slicing toward left field away from him. Could not quite get to it, although he came pretty close.
So again, the pitching coach, Mickey Callaway, out to the mound, as much to let the bullpen start to heat up as it is any specific instructions for Corey Kluber. Well, the shutout is gone, and Joe Smith, the right-hander, is loosening in the Indians' bullpen. A 5-1 game, and Lance Berkman an opportunity with David Murphy at second and 2 outs to do some damage. Lance a bunt single in 3 previous trips. Kluber sets at the bell to check a Murphy. Berkman trying to take that ball the other way and just fouled it back. The rally caps in evidence. All 45,200 strong here tonight. Pulling for a Ranger comeback. Oh, 0-1 the count. 0-2. Lance might have thought that was a bit low, but not according to Mark Wegner. See, Lance this year with runners in scoring position, 302 the average. Kluber okays the sign. And the pitch low and inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You would think either way this might be Kluber's last man. Up over 100 pitches.
Yeah, I think once they scored, there's no temptation to let them try for a shutout, that's for sure.
Got him swinging. Breaking ball down and in. And that'll do it for the Rangers in the 8th inning. They get a run on a couple of hits and lead one. We're going to the 9th in Arlington. It's the Indians 5, the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. tickets all the way into the month of June. Enter Dr. Pepper as the coupon code at TexasRangers.com, or bring any Dr. Pepper can to Rangers Ballpark in Arlington and get $5 off select tickets for non-premier games in the month of June. Top of the ninth inning, and Ron Washington has gone to the bullpen, and Jason Frazier, the right-hander, has been asked to work the ninth inning and keep this at a 4-run deficit. Well, Frazier, with those numbers, becomes the fourth pitcher of the evening for the Rangers.
Jason's been throwing the ball pretty well, too. 18 strikeouts in 16 innings. He's given up 3 home runs, but 2 of those happened right off the bat at the beginning of the year.
Mike Aviles leading things off. Aviles tonight 1 for 3. Had a single and scored in the 3-run 5th inning for the Tribe. Rangers' first pitch up the middle and into center field by the new second baseman, Jurickson Profar. So Aviles' first ball swinging. He is aboard to lead off the ninth inning. There's Profar, and staying in the ball game after that pinch hit single. Leonis Martin remains in the game, takes over in center field. Jason Frazier greeted with a solid base hit right back through the box from Mike Aviles. Now Drew Stubbs, the top of the Indian order. Stubbs 1 for 4, a 2-run single in that 5th inning. And the off-speed pitch finds the inside part of the plate. It is 0-1. Stubbs, along with that base hit to left that drove in two, also has flied to center, reached on an error, and struck out tonight. Derek Holland started this evening, worked the first 4 1/3, his shortest outing as a starter this year. 9 hits, 4 runs. Walked 1, struck out 4. He is the pitcher of record for the Rangers. Kyle McClellan followed with 2 2/3 innings of 1-run ball. Neil Kotz gave up a hit, but no runs in the 8th inning. And now Jason Frazier on the hill here in the 9th. Oh, 0-2, the count to Drew Stubbs. See Pierzynski giving that sign to pick off throw over to first, so AJ can kind of keep an eye on what Aviles is doing over there and not have to worry about a pitch coming to him. Aviles with pretty good speed, trying to step off that lead at first base. Got him swinging. 92-mile-an-hour heat up a little bit, and Stubbs gone on strikes. That's out number 1 here in the ninth. And Jason Kipnis coming up.
Stubbs is a terrific athlete. He's got some power, but he is early in his big league career been very prone to the strikeout. He had a season a couple of years ago where he struck out 205 times and over 160 times in his other 2 full seasons. Still trying to make a little bit better contact.
Jason Kipnis is 1 for 2 officially tonight. Along with a base hit in the 3rd, he's also been hit by a pitch and walked. And he takes a Frazier fastball for strike 1. Kipnis hitting at 247. Two out of 6 in this series. And Frazier again going first base way to drive Aviles back. Kipnis with that base hit in the 3rd inning extended his current hitting streak to 5 straight. Frazier says okay to the sign from Pierzynski. There goes Aviles. Pitch is inside. The throw is low. And in with a stolen base, Mike Aviles. Well, AJ, for the first time tonight, had a legitimate shot to throw out a base runner and short hopped it down to second base.
You got a little bit of a chance if you throw it on the other side of second base, so that if it's caught on a hop, you can slap the tag down. But when it's on the shortstop side, then not only do you have to catch the short hop, but very difficult to slap any kind of a tag down. Tough to catch a short hop and make a tag because your glove is coming up to catch the ball, and then you got to slap it back down to make the tag. And you're trying to catch it, or at least block it, to keep it from going into center field.
No, with one out now, Aviles in scoring position. 1-1 the count to Kipnis. Went after a high fastball and fouled it straight back. It's 1-2. Kipnis talking to Pierzynski about it, bemoaning the fact that he either felt like he shouldn't have swung at that or wish he'd get another shot at it.
I think it's the first one, Buzz.
Think so?
I think so.
Call strike 3. Fastball.
Probably wishing he swung at that one.
Yeah.
Though.
Painted the outside corner. Well, Frazier turning into an artist. Just dabbed a little paint on that outside corner, and that's out number 2.
Pretty good pitch. Good movement on it. Kipnis, I'm sure, thought it was outside, but there it is, just touching that outside corner. No hitter's going to like that call. And you see the Fox tracks and where it hit. Legitimate call by Mark Wedner.
Now Nick Swisher. And Swisher and Frazier have had quite a few battles over the years. 18 at bats for Swisher against Frazier. The breaking ball to the outside corner. Swisher 6 out of 18, a .333 average. He's also walked 4 times. Swisher 1 for 4 tonight. Drove in his 23rd run of the year in the 5th inning. High and tight. A little calling card from Jason Frazier. The right-hander is ready one more time. 1-2. And judging from Jason Frazier's reaction, he wasn't thrilled with where that pitch was.
Well, we'll take the result,
yep,
but maybe not the location.
So the Ranger faithful trying to get a clap going to support Jason Frazier. See if the right-hander can't finish off this inning and get Nick Swisher out of the way. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now Swisher tired of waiting as Frazier and Pierzynski can't get together on the sign. Now Jason has the one he wants to work with. Tried the back door and found it was locked. So it's 2-2. Aviles began the inning by singling on the first pitch that he saw from Jason Frazier. Stole second. Stubbs struck out, as did Kipnis. So Aviles still at second base with 2 outs. Rangers trailing 5-1. They want to keep it at a 4-run deficit. Got him swinging. Good breaking ball from Frazier, who ends up striking the side out after the leadoff single. We're going to the bottom of the 9th inning. Beltre, Pierzynski, and Cruz trying to start a comeback for the Rangers, who trail 5-1. Sports Southwest is brought to you by Ford. Your Texas Ford dealer celebrates red, white, and you. Enjoy great savings on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. Well, the Rangers have some work to do here in the ninth inning. Corey Kluber's night is finished as he worked 8 very strong innings. And now it's into the hands of Joe Smith, the right-hander.
Joe Smith having a pretty nice season. ERA under 1.
Well, Smith on to try and lock things down. Rangers trailing by 4. Adrian Beltre starts things off. He is 0 for 3. And the side-wheeling Smith fires inside for ball 1. Right-hander back to the plate. And there's a sinking fastball in the inside corner. Smith last worked 3 days ago against the Tigers. Worked an inning in relief. A rip and a miss. And Beltre now down in the count. It's 1-2. Smith back to the plate. Got him swinging. Boy, that heavy sinking fastball down and in. And Beltre strikes out. That's how the Ranger ninth begins here tonight.
You don't see many pitchers like Smith, so you don't get a whole lot of practice hitting against a guy that throws from that sidearm angle. And he's got decent velocity, right around 90 miles an hour. Good sinking action on it.
Now A.J. Pierzynski. See, A.J. has had some pretty good success against Smith. 3 out of 7. Takes that breaking ball. It stays outside. It's 1-0. A.J. 1 for 2 tonight. Had a single back in the 5th inning. He's also grounded out and walked. Swings to the next pitch and pops it up. Over to take a look. There's the third baseman. And the catcher looked like Gomes was calling the ball all the way and just pulled up a second. Then he found it again. Kind of did a stutter step on me. Well, AT&T reminder, we'll be right back here tomorrow night. The conclusion of this 3-game series. Nick Tepish and Ubaldo Jimenez. 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Southwest. Rangers Live coming to you at 6:30 tomorrow night right here. Swing and a miss, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Smith comes set. The pitch off the glove of Yan Gomes all the way to the backstop. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pierzynski drives one to right field. Deep down the line. Goodbye. A.J. Pierzynski got one down and out over the plate and ripped it into the coffin corner down there for his 5th home run of the year. It's a 5-2 Indian lead.
He golfed that thing out of here. That was down and in. He got the head of the bat on that one. Got a walk and another single. Just continues to swing a hot bat for the Rangers. He's trying to throw the ball in. It looks like it comes back a little bit and catches the middle of the plate. And Smith knows it as soon as he hears the contact. He doesn't even have to watch it.
Now Nelly Cruz takes inside. That energized the crowd. And out into the night into deep right field.
25 home runs for A.J. Hit 27 home runs last year for the White Sox.
Cruz doubled his last time up. He is 1 for 3. And the pitch way inside. 2 balls, no strikes. 372 feet on the home run by Przinsky. Smith with a 2-0 pitch. Way inside. 3 balls and no strikes.
Get a couple base runners on and you never know.
Got Chris McGinnis waiting in the on-deck circle. Way inside, ball 4. And Smith, after the home run, didn't come close to Cruz.
Well, he missed
Or he
almost
came close to him, but he didn't come close to throwing a strike.
Well, all those pitches were almost the same pitch, just tailing way inside to Cruz. Denny Pistano warming up rapidly.
And now Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach, again going out to the mound. Give Pistano a chance to get loose. And the Indians closer, Chris Perez, on the shelf. He's been on the DL with some arm problems and other assorted problems, but not available. And the Indians have been trying to kind of mix and match to it for the closing job. Cody Allen has been there part of the time, Pistano and Smith, but nobody really has settled in to be the closer. Well, Callaway finished with his conference on the mound. Now Smith now will face Chris McGinnis. And the chants are starting. Jeff Morgan given the cue, and the Ranger fans are responding. Breaking ball that comes in through the back door for strike 1. McGinnis tonight grounded to first, line to left, and struck out. Got Cruz at first. Next pitch low and outside, and Nelly staying put as that ball got away from Gomes, but when you're down by 3, Nelly's not going to take a chance.
Yep, somebody in the on-deck circle or beyond is going to have to score in this game, which would push Nelly around the bases anyway, so no sense taking a chance.
The 1-1 pitch. 1-2.
I don't know about that one.
Tried that backdoor hook again, and it didn't get there. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The one thing about McGinnis, what we've seen of him, he'll take the ball the other way. He's not at all averse to doing that. No. The 2-2 popped him up. Into center field, Stubbs coming on. Makes the catch, back to first goes Cruz. And the Rangers now down to their last out. Leonis Martin coming up for his second at bat. Martin entered as a pinch hitter last inning. Slide out to center field. That was against the starter Corey Kluber. Now he's facing Joe Smith, who is 1 out away from putting this series in a deadlock, making tomorrow the rubber game. Fastball for a strike at the knees. It's 0-1. Leonis Martin waiting, and the breaking ball stayed just outside. Martin after the 0 for 1, a .256 hitter. Good breaking ball. Sharp late bite. And now Martin down to his final strike. It is 1-2. Smith peering in for the sign, comes set. Fouled out of play. Cruz on the move since the Indians just giving him second base. Playing way behind him defensively, Nick Switzer. backed off, holding the bag against him. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Outside. 2-2 to Martin. Long look in by Joe Smith. Now he's ready. Call strike 3. Martin caught looking the backdoor breaking ball, and the Rangers are finished here tonight. The Cleveland Indians win by a score of 5-2. The Rangers come up with a run on A.J. Pierzynski's 5th home run of the year, but that wasn't enough, as Joe Smith closes out the 9th inning for a 5-2 Ranger loss, and the Tribe snaps their 8-game losing streak. Jerry Francona able to have something positive to say to the guys after tonight's ball game. The Rangers will try to regroup and come back out tomorrow night. Now, 1 home run tonight on the $10,000 raised. To donate, please visit homerunchallenge.org. The home run challenge tonight benefiting Prostate Cancer Foundation. So 5-2 the final. John Redding and Mark McLemore back to wrap things up from Rangers Ballpark in Arlington right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.